Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. We'll start with a story of a very strange mistaken employee. Mistaken for a caterer at my own wedding party. My wedding party was very informal. We wore sports jerseys. A lot of family and friends came, including a batch of people that I didn't even know, which got a little weird because we still only personally invited everyone and told everyone to let us know if they had a +1, and it'd be fine for us to invite them. This is so we could track catering expenses and space concerns. It was a rough day, and I was very limited in support and was taking care of most of the setup and issues myself for a party of roughly 80 people. It felt more like work than a party. The time finally came where I could rest when issues were taken care of about halfway through the party. The sun was beginning to set. I sat down in the corner and wiped the sweat off my face and looked over at the food. Everyone had eaten except me, so I was ready to finally dive into the food I paid for. Some woman I never met in her late 20s asked me to bring a plate for her kids. I said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I want to bring some stuff for my wife and start eating myself." "Oh, caterers can bring their family to events like this?" I was somewhat confused at her response. The caterers here are a family business, so sort of. "Isn't it inappropriate for you to eat food someone else paid for?" Me, confused even further, but giving a chuckle. "I paid for it." "I'm sorry, who'd you come here with?" "Oh, really? You must be the party planner. Are you a friend of the groom? I was invited by the groom. I'm F." Me chuckling again. "Nope, I'm the groom." "Oh, I'm sorry. How embarrassing. You're the groom? Oh, nice to meet you." "Yeah, I sent invitations by name, but we requested feedback for plus invitations. I don't believe I sent you an invitation. I think everyone invited more people than we initially wanted." Am I the kids okay to be here? I'm actually sister's friend's friend. They said it was, okay." "Oh, yes, that'll be perfectly fine. We have much more food than I thought. It won't be an issue. Nice to meet you." I came to the table with my wife and her grandmother, and we finally ate. My wife to me. "Damn, girl, flirting with all the ladies at our wedding party or what?" I know that a +1 of a +1 that was uninvited is generally uncool, but there was no need to stress it. Everyone had a good time, and there was actually too much food. I don't want to be on the news. Don't put me on camera. Not sure if this fits, but wasn't sure where else it would. I was standing in line to get into the supermarket today, and the person just before me was a surly older gentleman who was not wearing a mask or facial covering, and appropriately wearing a biker jacket with a big patch that read F helmet laws. The store has someone at the door, usually a teenager or elderly greeter, whose job it is to ensure everyone entering the store has a face covering per their nationwide corporate mandate and under our state law. As the man arrived at the greeter, who couldn't have been a day under 65, she said, "Excuse me, you need a face covering to enter." He said to the old woman in this macho, authoritative voice, "No, I don't. It's okay," and tried to walk into the store. The older woman goes, "Actually, sir, you do. It's not just policy anymore, it's the law." And he starts spouting off how it's unconstitutional law and how the greeter isn't in a position to enforce laws. A minute or two pass, and the people further back who can't see what's happening at the front of the line are getting restless. They begin to try and see what's happening. The guy's saying, "Look, you're holding up the line. If the masks really work, then everyone who's wearing one's safe, right? And if they don't, then why do you care?" She was getting kind of desperate at this point and said, "Well, sir, because I could lose my job if I let you in here." This is where I come in. I hadn't spoken up before because this was a big guy, and I'm just a student who's no good at confrontations. I figured adding myself into the mix would only make the situation worse, so I took out my phone and started recording. I figured he'd be less likely to do something violent to the greeter or escalate further if he knew he was on camera. Here's what I'd forgotten. I was wearing a shirt from a 5K that was sponsored by our local news, so it had Channel X Eyewitness News in huge print across the front. The guy's wife goes, "Oh, good Lord, Howie, the news is filming. What if my work sees this? Jesus." So he turns to me and starts telling me he doesn't consent to be on TV and starts making a speech how we're all treading on the Constitution, not protecting people's rights to bodily autonomy and privacy. I'm trying to tell him I'm not with the news, and he's like, "I don't care if you're on the clock or not. I don't want to be on camera, and I don't want to be forced to wear anything I don't want to wear. When did we forget this is America?" Now this is where it gets crazy. The line stretched all the way around the building, and people toward the end were realizing it hadn't moved in a while and were coming to investigate. An even bigger, more macho guy comes lumbering up and asks what the problem is. Sees this guy going off on the terrified elderly greeter, me shaking, holding my phone, and is like, Sir, what's the problem right now? People are trying to shop." The maskless guy tells him, and I quote, "Get away from me. This isn't your business." The more macho guy proceeds to whip out a badge and identify himself as an off-duty police officer. And that law is, in fact, his business. First, he tries to have the cop arrest me for putting him on the news without his consent, but I just played dumb at this point. My adrenaline was through the roof, and if I'd been able to retain presence of mind, I would have left by that point and shopped somewhere else. The biker guy is now saying to the cop, "This isn't what you went to the academy dreaming about, man, is it? You're not stopping bad guys. You're forcing regular people to go against their beliefs." The cop said, "No one's forcing you to do anything, sir. You're free to make your own choices. You can put on a mask, or you can go home. You decide which you'd like to do, because there's a line here." The biker guy keeps saying he isn't doing anything illegal and he has a right to shop in a public business. The cop just shakes his head and starts quoting the official mask law that the guy is breaking at him. But the biker guy's just talking over him at that point. The cop realizes he's not getting anywhere. So the cop says, "Look, I don't want to escalate this, but you're not giving me a choice in this situation. If you won't leave of your own volition, you're trespassing." And he starts explaining what'll happen. The biker guy's ready to stand firm and says he knows he's in the right, but his wife is smarter and says, "Jesus, Howie, are you insane? The man's a police officer." And very ashamedly apologizes as she forces him to leave with various threats. It took 15 minutes to get into the store, caused a major backlog of shoppers, and made a poor elderly woman fear for her safety. Just wear the mask, or get your groceries delivered. I mean, seriously, people, of all the hills to die on. I was the boss's son, had an entitled employee on my crew make a mistake. Super long, so apologies. Little background. My father owns a telecommunications repair company, and before that he worked in the industry for years. And since I hated daycare, I spent every summer helping him and learning to weld, rig cell phone tower antennas, crap like that. By the time I was 19 and dropped out of college, I decided to get my certifications and asked my dad for a job. Well, he got a huge contract and hired 5 brand new guys with myself and another veteran that's been working with him for years as crew leads to run all the repair projects. I end up with this massive D-bag who got fired from multiple different physical therapy clinics and is now 40 and unhireable by any other industry, but he has a massive superiority complex because he has a bachelor's, and that somehow makes him better than tradesmen. On to the story. Me is me, CL is the other crew lead, DB is douchebag. We're on the first site, on the first day of the job for a major client, taking down old antennas and putting up new ones. CL and I drive up to the site after morning meetings at the hotel with my dad and the client over Skype, and we brought lunch for everyone. CL realizes that he forgot his hard hat at the hotel and tells me he'll be back in half an hour. No big deal. It's a simple job that I've done before with my dad. I drop the sandwiches in the refrigerated server room and go over to DB, who's using a trailer hitch winch to haul a brand new antenna up the tower to our other guys who are 700 feet up at the top waiting to install it. He's got the antenna about 150 feet up at this point. Me. "Hey DB, I think you got your fasteners on backwards." The fasteners have to be perfect because the higher the antenna gets, the more wind, the more tension on the winch. "Yeah, they're fine." "No, they're definitely backwards." "They're effing fine. Go the F away, bootlicker." Guess that was his derogatory term for me being the boss's kid? No, they're backwards. By the time it gets up there, the winch is going to slip and that antenna's gonna drop. Bring it back down and fix it. I don't have to do crap for someone who's half my age and couldn't make it through a year of college. Only reason you're here is you're daddy's kid and can't make it in the real world. Right as he finishes the sentence, I hear the winch crack, so I grab DB and run both of us into the server shelter, smashing all the sandwiches in the process, while the winch flies out of the hitch mount and the antenna drops like a rock onto the truck, carving straight through the cab and into the ground underneath. F. So you can't rig right, and you don't have the common sense to put a pin in to secure the winch to the truck? There's no way that was my fault. Not only is it your fault, but now I get to explain to both OSHA and our insurance company how we managed to damage over $70,000 in equipment and $30,000 of our clients' equipment on the first day of this job. I spent the rest of the day calling OSHA, my dad, our insurance, and my mother, our accountant, to make sure that all the right reports get filed and our butts are covered on all bases. I'm assuring the other crew guys their paychecks aren't going to be affected and that I'll get them more sandwiches. After the end of the day reports are finished, my dad calls me up and tells me to fire DB for negligence, so I go up to him. Hey, you're being let go. Sorry, but this incident isn't something we can afford to happen again. And it was obviously, you can't fire me. My other crew leader says, pretty sure he can fire you, and if you don't believe him, I'll fire you. And if you don't believe either of us, we can go see the boss tomorrow. F it, let's go talk to the boss right now. It's like 4 o'clock. So we drive 3 hours, interrupt my family's dinner, then sit there smugly on the couch in my dad's home office while he literally screams at this guy about costing him $100,000 and maybe a lost contract, and basically tells the guy he's filing a civil suit for negligence since I specifically came and told him he was doing something incorrectly. What the F does he know? He's just a kid. I taught him how to rig a winch when he was 8, and he did it right. You're a 40-year-old man who managed to crush an entire truck. Get the F out of my house. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.